Action.
Okay. Call to order.
This is the July 24, 2019 Freeholder meeting, 6 p.m., the Ogdensburg Borough Municipal Building. Roll call. Freeholder Director Yardley.
Here.
Freeholder Fantasia. Here. Freeholder Hertzberg.
Here.
Freeholder Graham.
Here.
Freeholder Deputy Director Freeholder Patillo.
Here.
Okay. Let's stand to have a moment of silence and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, adequate notice as defined by Section 3D of Chapter 231, Public Law 1975 has been made by regular mail, such notice being submitted on July 15, 2019 from the Administrative Center of the County of Sussex located at 1 Spring Street, Newton, New Jersey to the following: New Jersey Herald, New Jersey Sunday Herald, Star Ledger, WSUS Radio, WNNJ Radio. It is also posted on the bulletin board maintained in the Administrative Center for public announcements and has been submitted to the Sussex County Clerk in compliance with said act.
Okay. Before we enter executive session, we need to take an action on Resolution 14A, emergency appropriations for special counsel fees. Therefore, we need to amend the agenda.
Do we have to approve it first?
Would you do B also?
Which is B? What is B?
14B. After you do 14A, would you do 14B? Would you move that also?
I'm looking, what is 14? 11, 14B.
Okay. A is the emergency appropriation. B is Doug's appointment.
Is that appropriate, sir?
I'm asking you.
Okay, we can do that, sure. Do I have an motion to, so I need a motion to amend the agenda to take action on Resolution 14 and 14B.
So moved.
Second?
Wait, it's 14A and 14B?
14A and 14B.
Okay, all right. Second.
Roll call. Any discussion? Roll call.
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Hertzberg? Freeholder Hertzberg? Freeholder Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Yardley?
Yes. Okay. Motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay, a motion to go to executive session, closed session.
You need
I'm
to-
sorry, you want to read the
Oh, I'm
executive session? Sorry.
Wait,
You have to read that, right?
first you made a motion to amend the agenda.
Right,
So you amended the agenda,
Right.
then you approved the agenda.
correct.
Now you need to make a motion to approve the two resolutions,
I thought we
14A
did that,
and
okay.
B.
Do I have a motion to approve resolution A and B?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Hertzberg?
Yes.
Freeholder Patillo?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Yardley?
Yes. Okay. Executive session?
Whereas the subject matter about to be discussed may be excluded from the public portion of the meeting by resolution of the Board of Chosen Freeholders as an exception to the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12(b)(m), and whereas it appears necessary for the Board of Chosen Freeholders to discuss such matters in executive session, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex, in accordance with the provisions of NJSA 10:4-12(b)(m) and NJSA 10:4-13, that the Board at this time enter into an executive session from which the public shall be excluded, And be it further resolved that the general nature of the subjects to be discussed relate to the following items authorized by NJSA 10:4-12, as designated below. Number 7, matters relating to litigation, negotiations, and attorney-client privilege, labor negotiations, CWA 1032, non-supervisory, supervisory, and social service, ballot question, Mountain Creek. Be it further resolved that the deliberations conducted in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Sussex County Board of Chosen Freeholders, or provided by law that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. And be it further resolved that upon completion of the business for which the board has entered into executive session, the board shall reconvene and resume its meeting open to the public. And be it further resolved that the board expects to take formal action after returning from executive session.
Okay. Motion to adopt the executive session resolution and enter into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are in executive session. Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We were out of executive session. Okay, tonight, this is a very small, careful attention, very small. Room. I'm going to try to accommodate everybody.
I didn't tell you. Just drop it and go and go. Yeah, I'm gonna stand out here.
Public hearings, final ordinance 011.
Ordinance regarding relocating an existing mid-block crosswalk on Sussex County Route 519 to a point approximately 400 feet north of US 206 at plus mile marker 65.03 in the town of Newton.
Motion that the public hearing be opened.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is there anyone present wishing to be heard regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, we're going to close it to the public. Motion to close it.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion that this ordinance be finally adopted. Roll call.
I need a motion. for
Motion.
adoption.
Second.
For the adoption?
Yes.
Okay.
Roll call.
Yes, roll
Freeholder
call.
Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Yardley?
Yes. Motion to authorize the clerk to advertise this ordinance as finally adopted, and also post the same bulletin board in the lobby of the county administrative center. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public section from the floor.
Comments are limited to 5 minutes or less and must only address issues regarding agenda items. Please state your name and print your name and municipality on the sign-in sheet, which is located in the corner here.
Okay, there will be a second public,
Can I just make a motion? Can I make a motion that we waive the agenda item for the first people to speak?
sure. Make a motion.
So we'll
Make a
take
motion.
Paul,
Yep.
yes,
Anything on the first
absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Perfect.
I'm sorry, you're combining both the
No.
public session?
No, we're
saying
saying
we're
we're waiving
Reversing
the,
them.
we're waiving the agenda issue. Okay, reverse.
Oh, you're
Just
waiving the...
waiving the issue,
Okay.
the agenda issue. So I make a motion to that.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
If you'd like to speak to the board, please come up, sign in, state your name and address. We're going to ask if you're all speaking on the same issue, and there are people in the back of the room, that you allow them to come in. If you might rotate with them, would be appreciated. Thank you.
My name is Jason Bowman from Stanhope. I came here today not as a Democrat or Republican. I came as someone who finds the illusionary banter and partisan politics to be nothing more than the ideological battles among elites, which usually only ever produce surplus material and lead systemic neglect and economic insecurities for the working class of this nation. And when I say working class, I mean all ethnicities, all genders, all sexual orientations, all political and racial identities. To be clear, I reject the politics of what I believe to be a duopolistic party system, and I'm not aligned with any party, just so that it's clear. I also do not come here to challenge the First Amendment rights of any one person, organization, or institution. However, the resulting effects of one's use of such a right can lead to negative perceptions and potentially damaging outcomes. I believe that I've heard from many of my friends who are Republicans that the concept of personal responsibility is very important. So I think you'll understand when I say that someone has the right to say whatever they want, but they also have a personal responsibility to accept the consequences of what they enacted in enacting that right. However, I did come here tonight to ask the all-Republican board of chosen freeholders if they too support the xenophobic, racist, misogynistic, and Islamophobic tweets the Sussex County GOP Twitter page has recently been disseminated. I want to know if this body supports and upholds the use of what can only be classified as proto-fascist rhetoric, but something that has been produced and disseminated by the President of the United States, but as more specifically as it pertains to the body in front of me, to your Republican Party chair, Jerry Scanlon. I think your constituency has a right to know if you now support this rhetoric and ideology. If you do, I think it's a little bit of a contradiction, as I know I've never met one baby boomer or Gen Xer who rightfully and proudly touts the accomplishments and the dedication and the service of their grandparents or parents who served in World War II to fight such ideologies. If that's not the case, and you outright are against this proto-fascist rhetoric, I hope that the body will seriously consider the historical precedents of such rhetoric and in their own time and on their own authority take whatever steps they feel are necessary to correct the newly formed public perception of this party. Because in direct objection to Mr. Scanlon's claims, this is not a political obfuscation of the current issues regarding migrants in our county. In truth, I find the policies of both parties on the issue of immigration to be cowardly, reductive, ahistorical, and ignorantly brutal. Whether it was Obama then or Trump now, working class families have always faced separation, human lives have always been lost, and children have always been hurt, traumatized, or killed attempting to find security at the U.S. southern border. And regardless of the ideological machinations of either ruling class party, the reality of U.S. foreign policy in the region of Latin America is totally ignored, even though it is directly responsible for the material and dialectical reality of why those people flee their countries for the U.S. southern border. So no, I'm not here to divert from political pandering to nostalgic imaginings of U.S. history, nor am I here to condone the absolute waste of taxpayer resources this body has hypocritically planned to use to support a non-issue because we don't have an immigrant population. I'm not even here to pretend that Democrats have handled this issue appropriately in the past. Instead, I came here to point out your gross contradiction as a political organization and your county chairman's connection to these violently racist, xenophobic, misogynistic, and Islamophobic memes. Additionally, I object to Mr. Scanlon's monolithic statements in response to this issue. Not only were his comments ahistorical and uninformed of the factual demographics of this county, but they completely dodged the actual reason why people at the board meeting yesterday and today were there. Instead, Mr. Scanlon chose to double down and affirm his public statement that everything tweeted was completely justifiable and in line with the party's platform. While under the protection of the U.S. Constitution is the right of all to speak their mind in this country. However, as I mentioned, there are instances, both legal and civic, where punishment or personally negative outcomes may still apply. I ask this body, do they apply here? Or is proto-fascism Sussex County GOP's new version of conservatism? Thank you for your time.
Can you please report? Okay, thank you.
Peace.
Anyone else?
Sorry. It's all right.
For the record, my name is Robert Knecht. I live in Vernon Township. I've lived here for 43 years. I'm an American. I'm the first person in my family to be born in this country that was eligible to be president of the United States. My grandfather was proud of that. I have in my hand letter by Gerber S. Graywall, Attorney General. Have you all read that?
Which letter? Which one?
Underdated November 29th, 2018, entitled Directive Strengthening Trust Between Law Enforcement and Immigrant Communities. Have you read it?
Have you read that letter or
Yes,
the
ma'am.
trust directive? I can't say I read that letter. I
You
read
can't
the
say.
immigrant- The letter you're holding in your hand, I cannot say whether I've read. What I've said is I've read the immigrant trust directive. So if in that letter.
That is the letter.
Yes,
Yeah,
then the
that
answer
is
is
it,
yes.
and you have read it. Good.
Correct.
So, then you know that the letter says, in the first place, nothing in this directive restricts New Jersey law enforcement agencies or officers from complying with the requirements of federal law and valid court orders, and I'm emphasizing valid, including judicially arrest warrants for individuals regardless of immigration status. For the purposes of this directive, a judicial warrant is one signed by a federal or state judge. It is not the same as an immigration detainer, sometimes referred to as an immigration or customs enforcement or ICE detainer, or an administrative warrant, both of which are currently issued not by judges, but by federal immigration officers. Issuance of I skipped over one thing there. Issuance of immigration detainers by ICE immigration officers. I'm sorry, my eyesight isn't too good for reading. Are not required to enforce. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Under federal and state laws, local enforcement agencies are not required to enforce civil administrative warrants or detainers issued by federal immigration officers rather than state or federal judges. My point is that if the federal government wants to detain somebody, they should do it properly, and they should do it by going to a federal or state judge and saying, here's the information, here's the affidavit, I want a warrant. You can't have warrants issued by cops. Very dangerous. And I think I can back it up by this document here. It's the Constitution of the United States, Amendment 4. Writing's awfully small, forgive me. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, issued, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause approved by an oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. It's my position.
1 minute.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my position that immigrants have the same rights as anybody else, because this document says, don't say citizens. Thank you very much for listening.
My name's Victoria Nadler. I'm visiting here from Hopatcong, New Jersey. Last night I was at the Sussex County Community College Board of Trustees meeting, where I was respectfully afforded the opportunity to address my concerns regarding racist and repugnant tweets associated with GOP County Chairman Jerry Scanlon's Twitter feed. First of all, whether it's any member of Congress, a county party chairman, private citizen, or the President of the United States, I defend the right of every individual to embarrass themselves when exercising their constitutionally protected First Amendment rights. But I am here to ensure that a larger point but my concern is addressed by the freeholders in their supervisory capacity over the SCC's Board of Trustees. This board appointed Chairman Scanlon to the Board of Trustees and you are stakeholders in his public conduct. The chairman's tweets must simply be addressed. Whether or not Chairman Scanlon directly posted the numerous inflammatory or misanthropic memes on the Sussex County GOP Twitter feed is absolutely irrelevant. As the chair, he is responsible for the information disseminated under his auspices from his organization's accounts. Concurrently, Chairman Scanlon serves on the Board of Trustees for a publicly funded community college. The chairman's choices regarding his organization's public social media program perform a staggering disservice to the reputation of the college, that he serves as a trustee, and to our community at large. Sussex County suffers population attrition problems. We do not easily attract business investment, and we lose our youth to other communities as they seek to take their talents elsewhere and when they start their professional lives. Sussex County Community College is a jewel in the crown of what makes our county attractive for private investment and for continuing residents and to new residents. It is priceless in terms of what it does for its students. For Chairman Scanlon to so wantonly disregard the reputation of the college and the dignity of the community that it serves is mind-boggling. He does not seem to recognize that in his role as county chairman, he is allowing his organization to show utter contempt for the college's student body and the staff that for which he serves as a trustee. Additionally, this display of total disregard for the county's reputation as a whole. How can we attract new industry, retain and gain new residents if this is the level of our public discourse? This conduct is a public relation nightmare for anyone courting private investment countywide. It makes Sussex County appear to endorse racism, sexism, vulgarity, and division. To me, these tweets demonstrate a very public display of dim insight. By failing to articulate coherent policy positions and to instead to choose to promulgate racist and sexist tropes, whatever point Chairman Scanlon is trying to make is lost. Nothing is achieved but a major insult and reputational harm to students and staff at the school and to the county at wide, as we are all forced to tolerate vile stereotypes, vulgarity, irrational anger, all of which is extraordinarily inappropriate coming from a college administration official. Holding contrasting views, by all means, just hold them, have them, express them, but use civil discourse to persuade. Chairman Scanlon's public conduct is not new. I would like to know why the freeholders have not acted previously, and I want to know what they're going to do about it now.
Hi, my name is Michelle Van Allen with
Before you
Partisan.
speak,
Sure.
can I ask you, because I was not at that meeting last night, I don't know the specific content of the tweets, did you have a copy of what was tweeted out from that
Yeah, we
meeting?
provided them last night, maybe
I
somebody
was
else
just
does.
about to give you a copy for everybody. That's just some of the tweets and social media rhetoric, I guess we can say, that was on the Sussex GOP social media pages. And while, again, freedom of speech is,
I'm sorry, before you continue, have you written your name
I
down?
wrote, and I said it
Okay.
earlier, Michelle Van Allen Hardiston, but I got to respond. Okay, thank you. So, the fact that while people do have freedom of speech, you also have to take into consideration what appointment you have in this life and where you stand politically and appointed in the community. So, for example, Jerry Scanlon is not only the chair of Sussex County Republicans, but he is the vice chair on the Board of Trustees at the college. To my knowledge, you cannot be an elected official to be appointed on that Board of Trustees, which you have appointed him, so you should know the rules. But that's
We have
another.
not appointed
How did,
them.
so how did Jerry Scanlon become the vice chair?
There is a appointed or a committee picked by the county administrator that votes on it. It's done by statute. So people apply to that board and they are interviewed. They then are recommended to the freeholder board And by law, we are required, without knowing anything about them, to vote yes or no. Correct, Council?
So why would you not know anything about them? Wouldn't you investigate a person that you're going to allow to be appointed to the college?
They are investigated by the board. It is to keep politics out of.
That's a wonderful point, except here's the thing, Mr. Stanley has not kept politics out of his public image.
Just to point on, Mr. Scanlon was on that board long before he was GOP chair. All right, and he's serving his term.
Well, you just, resign.
Well, that's his point. That's,
Well,
it's
this
not
is,
our purview.
He's not vetted by this board,
Okay,
he's
but-
vetted by the.
but that's why we're here tonight, to bring this to your attention, that this gentleman has been allowing this, whether he has posted it, which we have some information that he has, whether he's posting it or allow it to be posted on social media. This is, to me, tears down our county, tears down our, this isn't political, this is racism, this is bigotry. This is not being a good representative of the people that you're supposed to be representing. And of course, I don't even want to go into how we're being represented, but I do want to say that as a graduate of that college, only 5 years ago, I was proud to be a student. But this makes me not proud. This tells me that people that represent those students can talk about the people that represent our country this way. Not acceptable. And the Board of Trustees said that they're going to investigate it. I hope you do too, because Jerry Scanlon represents you as well, the Board of Freeholders, and you represent everybody in Sussex County. We are the taxpayers that hire you to be in your job. And the whole question about the sanctuary city information that is trying to be put on the ballot, Jeff Parrott said it's not going to be on there. Our county, our state attorney said it's not going to be on there. Yet we hired an attorney firm to explore this further. We're spending $30,000 of taxpayer money to see if we can somehow get that question on the ballot, which then in turn, if it turns out that it does get on there somehow, that we're going to be fined because it's not allowed. It's already been ruled, you can't do it. So I know that's going to be discussed further, and I'm not going to stand here and profess that I know everything about that issue, but I do know, as almost a lifelong resident in this county and a taxpayer, that you say you're fiscally responsible. Please show that. There's a huge amount of money that has to go into the deficit now for our budget that wasn't allotted for councils for 5 different cases. Where's that money going to come from if it's not in the budget? Is there something in that can be eliminated? To me, that can be eliminated because it's all just a bunch of punditry and trying to get something done that's not going to happen anyway, and then you're going to spend our money to try and make that happen. So please read that information that you were handed, address it, and no matter where you politically stand or what you think of the people that are our representatives in Washington, they were elected and they don't deserve to be spoken to about like that. We don't do it and they shouldn't. Thank you.
Were both public sessions combined? Or is it just the agenda?
No, what's on the agenda. And they're both, this is the public session to talk about anything we'll have the opportunity to talk about. We just switched them.
Okay, so agenda's on.
I want to thank you all for the fight you're putting up against the Attorney General.
I'm sorry, sir.
Oh,
You
William
missed it.
Hayden, Frank from New Jersey. I want to thank you all for the fight you're putting up against the Attorney General. And one of the reasons would be what happened on July 11th in Atlantic County. A 7-year-old was killed by illegal. Atlantic County did not hold the gentleman, he was on a detainer. He went in the wind. Unfortunately for us, the Newark ICE office captured the gentleman, and now he's where he should be. And it is incidents like this that we want to prevent, allowing our law enforcement to work on with these detainer issues. So that said, I really appreciate the fight. As in regards to Jerry, everybody wants to be upset about tweets. Let's talk about February 5, 2019. Dan Crenshaw, a very well-known man, a man I've met several times, pretty proud of that fact. We had Katie Rotunde tweet out that, who's the pirate? Here's a man that served his country honorably as a SEAL, and he was mocked because he got an injury on the battlefield. Many of the people that are upset here, I've seen their Facebook pages, they thought that the pictures of Trump blowing his head off that were produced by Senator Weinberg's son were okay. This is just fake. This is nonsense. Jerry tweeted something, a retweet, where 500, whatever down the chain was this picture of whatever they call it, the Jihad Squad. And quite frankly, they're trying to change America in a way that is essentially a war on America. And I don't think Chairman Scanlon did anything wrong. Thank you.
My name is Leslie Hugh, HB Canton, Sparta, New Jersey. I want to piggyback off something Michelle talked about, and you guys talked about appointments and that you had no control. In my hand, I have the Universal Citation, New Jersey, 18B-64A-9, 2014. Qualifications of appointed members of boards, terms of office, etc., filling vacancies, no compensation of members. It talks about, appointed members of the Board of Trustees shall be residents of the county, blah, blah, blah. Specifically about vacancies. Vacancies shall be filled in the same manner as the original appointment for the remainder of the unexpired term. Any appointed member may be removed by the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the appointed county for cause upon notice and opportunity to be heard. Members shall serve without compensation, but shall be entitled to reimbursement for all reasonable and necessary expenses. So a member can be removed, and I just would like you to be aware of that.
They can be removed by this board, but as far as the question wasn't, can they be removed by this board? The question was, did we vet them, appoint him, so on and so forth. That's what was brought to us.
But I think someone on this board said that they couldn't be removed, like what Mr. Stanley did. You would not be able to remove him for that. I don't think that's true based on this statute that I'm understanding, okay?
Okay, sorry.
No problem. Jim Baldini, Sanderson. I'll profess I haven't seen the tweets that they're discussing, but I'm a school teacher, I'm running for Congress, and I'm sure I'm going to upset a number of people in this room over what I say, because I've already made public statements about Congressman Omar. I'm assuming that's the group you're talking about, and several other people. I've done it in Facebook or on the Herald, and I've gotten a lot of negative comments about that. I'm a school teacher. You're going to try and get rid of me from my school? Because that's what you're trying to do. You're having a guy who's actually representing a point of view. It's perfectly and completely legal. The Supreme Court has made it clear that political speech is acceptable.
In your
That
classroom?
I didn't say I teach that way in my
This
classroom.
isn't a back and forth out here, just so we're aware, there's
Thank
no
you.
conversation between.
And I should be directing Freeholders director. I apologize for that. So I mean, to me, that's what I see as the issue. This seems like this is just another opportunity to go after a guy who's putting his opinion out there. There is certainly the opportunity, if they want to complain, of course, it's free speech. But so is Jerry. Jerry's entitled to that free speech as well. And I stand, like I said, I think that he's, I don't know what he said in the tweets, but whatever it is, he's entitled to speak that way. And that's something that we should take into consideration going forward. And I don't teach politics in my classroom like that. And I do, and I will say that, to be frank, I have a personal point of view, agreeing very closely with what Bill just said about our country is under attack. And it's not because they're brown people, it's not because they're Islamic. I'm not an Islamophobe. My wife is a Muslim, so I'm not an Islamophobe. I have 2 kids that are Muslims. I'm not an Islamophobe, so don't go there. I will say, I'll be quite frank, that if I can't speak my opinion, then we're not in the United States of America. We're in some other place. And I feel that this is just another form of attack against individuals speaking their mind, and it's really the root cause of why we have a problem within our country, and I'm done, thank you.
I don't agree with you, but you spoke.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate you. Do you want to sit down? Joey, I can bring you one of those one chairs for you.
My name is Sarah Fry. I live in Hampton, New Jersey. Just wanted to say thank you for having this public forum today. It's been my pleasure to have lived in Sussex County for my whole life. I want to address actually some of the things that were just said about freedom of speech, and also tell you a little bit about me. So let's start with that. I grew up in Hampton, New Jersey. I went to McEwen Elementary School, I went to Kinsey Regional High School, and I attended Sussex County Community College for advanced classes in high school, as well as got my domestic violence certification there. I love this county, I love this country, and I've been very involved, and I've been grateful for the institutions we have here. That being said, I'm a first-generation American. Half of my family is Muslim, half of my family happens to be Mennonite Amish. Combination. Yeah. So, I'd like to speak to, I don't know, where was it, the gentleman that just spoke, to what he said about, the fact that his wife is Muslim, his children are Muslim. So I'd like to speak about my experience growing up in this county as well, and how it feels when we hear things echoed in these tweets. I'm not gonna freak out over some tweets, as some people may say, but these tweets are echoes of what is being said and the sentiments that permeate throughout this ideology. Now you have the pictures there in front of you, the tweets, so let's just talk about the specifics of what is in those tweets. Calling El Hanawar, the head of the Jihad Squad, photoshopping former President Barack Obama into a monkey. I don't think that's patriotic. I really don't. And now let's talk about freedom of speech. Now, freedom of speech in this country is protected under the First Amendment, and absolutely everybody has the right to state their opinion. Hate speech is also, as ruled by the Supreme Court multiple times, protected under the law of freedom of speech in this country. Does that mean the rest of us have to stay silent about it? No, because our right to freedom of speech is there as well. What my question is to the Freeholder Board is, as you're looking at those tweets, as you're considering Mr. Scanlon in his position on the Board of Trustees, I'm asking this question right now, and you can choose to answer or not, that's within our conversation here. Would you support or agree with these statements, and would you consider an investigation into Mr. Scanlon's ability with these kind of radical views to serve in his position on the Board of Trustees of Sussex County Community College, where there's young people, there should be conversation, there should be freedom of speech on campus, and there should be diversity. So I ask that question to the board.
We're going to go through this, and then the board will have an opportunity to address all.
Please speak up, sir.
We're going to go through this, and then the board, members of the board that wish will address some of the questions.
Okay, I wait your answer. Thank you very much.
My name is Lindsay Campbell. I grew up in Opakong, and I now own a home in Stanhope. I'm here tonight to address the hateful posts that have been published to the Sussex GOP Twitter page under Mr. Scanlon's leadership. Like a lot of people have bravely stated tonight, I'm not here to suggest that he doesn't technically have the right to post what he wants to, or that anyone's First Amendment rights themselves should be taken away. But the right to freedom of speech doesn't exempt anyone from the real-world consequences of what they choose to say in utilizing that freedom, especially in terms of what it reveals about your character and your judgment. These posts don't offer any sound alternative policy positions. They don't advocate for progress in any way. They don't advance meaningful dialogue about what's best for our county or our country. They're all attack and no substance. This is not just a difference of opinion, and I just want to make sure that this gets read into the record. We're talking about content of this caliber, a picture of four sitting U.S. Congresswomen with the caption, "Horrors of Babylon." not at all related to policy. This is just slander from the Sussex GOP Twitter page. A page that sadly, ironically, boasts the bio, "We pledge to lead with honesty, integrity, and compassion." Sadly, these posts come nowhere near that standard. In the face of the differing views and ideas championed by those mocked in posts like this, Mr. Scanlon allows his party's page to be used to spread messages of fear, hate, and divisiveness, rather than fostering productive civil discourse. It's a disgusting, wasted opportunity. As the body in charge of appointing SCCC board trustees, I'm here tonight to ask you to please review what Mr. Scanlon has either published or at best allowed to be published under his watch publicly through an organization he is meant to lead, and to take these posts seriously as the glaring red flags that they are. This is not the kind of content that a community leader with truly sound judgment and the best intentions puts forth, or allows to be published on his watch. Thank you.
Christina Marks Franklin. I don't mean to change the content of what we're currently speaking about, but I am here representing another group of individuals that have some serious concerns that we want to bring to the board's attention. I want to take an opportunity to address the board regarding recent negotiations between the CWA 1032 and the County of Sussex. We last met on June 18th, and at that meeting, we had requested a longer all-day session in order to truly negotiate in depth over the issues that are still outstanding between both sides. On July 5th, Administrator Poff reached out to our staff representative, David Hammer-Hodges, to advise that the board was requesting that we provide our detailed objections to the county's wage proposal in writing for your collective review, which was submitted on July 11th. However, the county has not provided the same courtesy of providing CWA with any written detailed explanation as to why our counter-proposal has been rejected by the Board of Chosen Freeholders. Perhaps if we were provided with these details, we could appropriately address the concerns the board had over our proposal. On the afternoon of July 18th, as you're all aware, we were shocked to receive late notification from Administrator Poff that he was unwilling to continue contract negotiations unless we were willing to negotiate only on the terms outlined under the county's proposal. We went from thinking we were finally going to have an opportunity to actually delve into the issues to now being at a complete standstill. There are some serious potential implications over these recent turn of events. And the best illustration I can present is instead of everyone working together in the sandbox to build the sandcastle, the administration has decided to knock down the progress made and leave the sandbox in a huff. CWA and the County of Sussex has a long history of working together. Both sides have not always seen eye to eye on every instance, but there was mutual respect and a desire to work together to reach a resolution. When the county was facing a budget crisis years ago and approached CWA for assistance, we agreed to work together to see what could be done. In fact, CWA made the rare move of actually opening up our existing contract and agreed to pay freezes in exchange for potential reciprocations in the future. To date, we have not seen these reciprocations, and in fact, the county keeps taking. We no longer have the type of relationship with administration. Instead, we're dealing with an administrative team which has no respect for contractual language, fair implementation and execution of policies, and quite frankly, has no respect for their frontline staff as a whole. These frontline staff members are working all hours to plow snow in the winter, or they're paving and repairing county roads in 110-degree heat. Or they're the social worker walking into some of the most decrepit conditions to assist residents to make sure that they're surviving on a daily basis. On top of it, they're also working multiple jobs to make ends meet. So in exchange for helping the county during their fiscal crisis, frontline staff are watching administrative employees receiving outrageous and potentially undeserved six-figure salaries, all made possible because frontline staff agreed to salary freezes and gave up their raises. Getting back to pressing matter of continuing negotiations, many years ago, county administration and CWA were stuck on issues in order to move forward with a finalized contract. However, the desire to work together to sort out the issues was there. As such, everyone agreed to conduct a late-night negotiation session, which was held during an executive session at a Board of Chosen Freeholders meeting, so that the Freeholders, county administration, and CWA representatives could all sit down and sort out all the issues, come to an agreement on a contract, and it actually worked. An agreement was reached that night.
It's amazing what open and honest communication and a desire to work together can accomplish. There's nothing in the administrative code, policies, or our current contract that prevents this from occurring, and we obviously would like an explanation as to the county's unwillingness to continue to negotiate on mutual terms. Considering the previous issues we've brought up in freeholder meetings regarding the administrator, it appears there is not an honest and open communication between your appointed administrator and the freeholder board of this county, and that is damaging the relationship between the represented employees and the county they serve. As such, I would implore the freeholder board to open and direct communications with CWA in an effort to work towards a better relationship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the board?
Would you speak up, please? When you say
Anyone else
speak up.
wish to address the board?
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dan Smith, and I just wish to state...
Excuse me, Mr. Smith, where are you from? Your municipality? No, okay, thank you.
I just want to say to the board that you've heard a very compelling argument by residents of this county regarding the unfitness of Mr. Scanlon to serve as the vice chair of the Sussex County College. This type of conduct, you don't hear about it at Warren County College. You don't hear about it at Morris County College. It should not be acceptable at Sussex County College. This type of conduct impacts not just students who may go out once they receive a diploma from here and say, well, where did you go? And they say, oh, I attended Sussex County College. They'll say, oh, where that guy made those comments. It impacts the employees and their morale who may work here and know that they have leadership at the top that harbors those kinds of feelings and that kind of resentment. This isn't a progressive discipline issue. This is a termination issue. Because the leadership of a college, if we're pursuing higher education, should reflect higher values. If he's unwilling to do that, he's not fit for the position. You have to take a close look at whether this individual should serve as your vice chairman. Aside from the political side of what he does, the school should be of some importance to each of you. You are responsible for the budget, and as such, the value of that education is part of the bottom line that you're trying to reach when you put that budget together every year. And you should feel justified that the leadership at the college is such that the money that you expend towards that college is being well spent by individuals who are responsible and cognizant of the population that it serves, and not be so concerned about congresspeople from all across the country who has never met in life, knows nothing about them, but would harbor that kind of publicity, that kind of slanderous comments about them. So I only ask that, well, I understand the concerns about freedom of speech, and I understand everyone has a private opinion about a lot of things, but when you assume the responsibility over children, young adults, for their professional opportunities in the future, you have to be a little bit more circumspect in the comments that you make. Because ultimately, it will follow them, even though he will be long gone, should you make the right decision down the road regarding whether you should continue in that capacity or not. So on that note, I just wish to thank those individuals who come forward, because I think they made a very poignant argument as to why you really should pay very close attention regarding his continuance in that position. Thank you very much.
Anyone else wish to address? Anyone else wish to address the board?
Good evening, my name is Zoe Heath. I live in Vernon Township. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I know this is a packed room full of a lot of people with a lot of opinions. But tonight I would like to speak on the issue pertaining with the Vice Chair of the Community College Board of Trustees, who is very clearly unfit to serve in the position he currently has. As a college student, going to a higher learning institution promises new ideas, open minds, a new perspective on everything. And to see things differently through a different lens, it's the start of something new, intellectually, personally. A lot of people think their college years are the best. I kind of hope mine will be. But unfortunately, the comments on the @Sussex County GOP Twitter page, which boasts the name of the Board of Trustees Vice Chair right on top, which basically means that he is in agreement with everything that the page has posted and commented and follows. And that really reflects poorly on the rest of the Sussex County GOP. They seem to be complacent and in the agreement with the vile, bigoted, and offensive content of the account and of what they follow. Suicide Squad jokes, referring to a former senator as a bitter old lesbian. As a queer woman, a young bitter lesbian such as myself, I'd like to remind this Freeholder board that just a little less over a year ago, we dealt with homophobia on this board already. Carl Lazaro made very offensive comments, not only on social media, but at the dais in public session, and the board did not censure him, they let it slide. But now, this is a representative of our community college, my school, who is clearly unfit to represent college students and an institution that is being reflected poorly on by one man. Sussex County politics is why young people such as myself are leaving. And bigots deciding how to run a learning institution where minds should be open, not closed, is another reason to leave. And just before I go sit back down, I just thought it was interesting how there was an attempt earlier to distract from the real issue, which seems to be very transparent. Just so everybody else knows, Katie Rotundi, who is the SCDC chairwoman who was mentioned previously, actually makes her living as a comedian. So to go through a bunch of old tweets from before she was even the chairwoman is not the same as the hate speech that's been mentioned, nor is it hypocritical of her to make a joke just because straws are being grasped at when the store stops selling. So, thank you.
Anyone else wish to address it? There you go.
Okay, so my name is Amir Osmanovic, Hamburg. On behalf of my wife, I'd like to apologize for my facial hair. She doesn't like me leaving the house without being shaved. That's because while I was active duty, she got used to me having a baby face. So I'm going to take you through a roller coaster ride here really quick. I'm not a native-born American. I left Bosnia in 1992 because my mom saw what was going to happen, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, we boarded a van and got in a van and crossed the mountains to Croatia, where I spent 6 months in a refugee camp. In 1993, I came to the United States in Connecticut, and from 1993 to about 2004, I spent most of my time in Queens. That's where I went to college, and that's where I went to ROTC. In 2004, I commissioned as an infantry officer in the United States Army of my own accord, because I thought that this country, I owed something to this country. Because I came here because they accepted. The United States government accepted me. So I signed a contract and I joined the military. Spent 4 years in active duty as an infantry officer. I spent 16 months out of that time in Afghanistan because I was at Fort Drum, we're against -20, and I wanted to leave because it got very, very cold. 16 months in Afghanistan, I led Americans of all lifestyles, everybody, all men, 40 of them. Now, roller coaster ride here is, I got shot at. Some of those soldiers were not American citizens. Their families came here illegally. They crossed the border because their mothers and fathers wanted a better life, just like mine did. Except I was in Europe. If I was anywhere else, contingent, American continent, my mother would have done the same. But we had the luck where we had an American embassy nearby, and we applied to come here legally. Because our country was in a state of war, we came here faster than others. Now that's my life story. Now, as a leader in the United States Army that I was, I've counseled my soldiers for indecent behavior. I counseled them for breaking curfew. I counseled them for DUIs. And I've actually had people demoted because of this. Now, I just want to, this is not something you need to answer right now, but is this the behavior, regardless of who it is, regardless of political party, is this the behavior you would take from your kids, your spouses, or soldiers? Because for me, it was a little bit different. I had to give these men who were 18, not old enough to buy alcohol, but they sure did. Find a way to do it. They sure did. They couldn't buy alcohol. They had to spend time in a war zone. Now, as much as I wanted to be their friend, I had to be their leader. I had to be their father. I had to be their mother for the time being. 40 of them, 10 of them gave me problems. Now, what should I do? Do I just say, screw it, we need men to go? Or I say, these guys are going to be a liability for me when we hit the field, when we have to sleep outside for 2 weeks at a time, even more. So what do I do with these guys? What do I do? There's a right thing to do, and there's a fair thing to do, and there's the ignorant thing to do. I've seen, in the military, I've seen it all. I've seen leaders say, I need these guys, just ship them out, we'll deal with that when we come back. And I had leaders come in and say, no. I'd rather have 5 good men, 5 good soldiers, 5 good sailors, 5 good Marines.
1 minute.
Then 10, and out of those 5 become a liability when we get into a firefight and they don't do their job. So ask yourself, what is the right thing to do for this community to go forward? Because I'm going to see everybody here, either in ShopRite, either in Vice, or you maybe see my wife, she works in the ICU. We're both refugees. We're both American citizens. We'll see each other. Is this something that you want to be a decisive thing for all of us here? I don't think so. Because I don't care who you are. I don't care. Just do the right thing. I don't know what it is that's amongst you. You guys sit on that side, I just got up. That's something for you to do. You're in a position of leadership. Leaders are in the front. Always. Always. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the board?
Sorry, how long last name?
Oh, Mary's around the corner.
What?
He's around the corner.
Hi, my name's Steve Nesbigetti. I'm in River Township. I just want to say, I'm not going to go into this or that or the hate speech or any of that. This is again about CWA. I want to say I came to this county and work for this county because my family comes from a public service family. I enjoy serving the public. I enjoy my job. I do it with a smile on my face no matter what I'm doing. Be 110-degree heat, laying blacktop, doing guardrails, be plowing snow, 2 hours of sleep. I could care less. I do it with a smile on my face. The problem I have is we deserve just a little bit better right now. I'm a single father of 2 kids. Sadly, I went through a divorce. You know what, I deal with it, I do what I have to do. It's a disgrace, though, that I should be told I work the best part-time job that I ever have, a full-time job. Come home at times with only $315 and a 2-week paycheck. I just want to see better for the employees who, no matter what goes on, no matter what job they're doing, they do it with a smile on their face. No matter what the morale is, no matter what's going on, no matter what policy gets thrown at us, we do it. And we've always done it. And that's just what I want to see going forward. Maybe just a little thank you for what we do. Okay, you guys make the policy, I guess you guys know the budget, we don't know that part, we just do what we're told. I just want to say thank you for the people that are represented and work for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the Freeholder Board? Okay, seeing none.
Motion to close.
Motion to close. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any public?
Give me 1 moment, I'm sorry.
Vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Comments? From the board on the same?
Yes. Our board was made aware of this situation. I was this morning. But again, not reading any of the specifics of what had happened because, again, it came through, obviously, in the New Jersey Herald. We knew there was something that had happened. And thank you for providing what this is. It's my understanding that Mr. Scanlon is on a family vacation with his daughter, he's not in the state. And it was also my understanding, just from the comments that I read in the paper, that the college board or board of trustees is going to conduct their investigation. So from my vantage point, we will follow as he comes back to the state as to what their investigation yields, and then, you know, I can't say whether we act or we don't act, because again, it starts there, and follow the trajectory. So as far as that goes, that's the information that I have sitting here right now at this moment. I would like to address a couple things that were said, though. I'd like to thank some of you that got up and really gave heartfelt and thoughtful responses, whether or not we are ideologically aligned. I appreciate that. When you come and you're heartfelt and you use logic. I welcome the conversation. However, I do want to say something that's a little bit alarming to me, specifically being a Republican woman. I have to say that of the 4 individuals referred to as the squad or whatnot, it's been said multiple times tonight that those individuals should be respected for the position that they were elected to, you know, and they're representing us. One of her first celebratory statements was, "We are going to impeach the MFer," and referring to the president. Another, Congressman Gottheimer, talk about bipartisan. My congressman, your congressman, CD5 congressman, has been quite aggressive in having conversations back and forth about the unabashed anti-Semitism that comes out of some of those ladies, one in particular. The twisting of words, it's almost like pouring gasoline on a fire and running away. Now keep in mind, I'm making no mention of gender, making no mention of creed, making no mention of race, I'm making mention of policy. And I think it's very, very bad form for that behavior to also come. So I'm sure you know, I was an English teacher. Some individuals just in general never had me as an English teacher, and it shows. Because I taught about propaganda and how to recognize it. And pearl clutching gets you nowhere. Okay? This is the same individuals at times who have put up photos of some of our elected officials on women's genitalia with faces of our elected officials during the whole feline hat phase of the Women's March. So again, we can pearl clutch and woe is me and do one of these like we're so very offended, but if you want to have a real conversation, come talk to me like that gentleman just came and talked to me, because whether I agree with him or not, it's issues based, and I can always talk issues, but I can't talk nonsense. And that's all I have.
That's why we work for the Sussex County Watchdog.
Thank you.
Right?
You had your time to speak, it's ours now. Thank you.
Sure.
What she said is right on.
I agree with what you said. Free speech is
Yes, it
an
is.
interesting thing, and for those of us who are older, we've seen free speech twirl around through the 60s and the 70s, the 80s and 90s. It takes different forms. Different things are important. Different things are not important. Today, please, can we not have the signs?
You're blocking our video.
Yeah.
Oh
Please.
dear, no, 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 I don't want to do that. I'll have a seat.
I lived at the border. I lived in San Diego for 11 years. And the property that I had was a regular place where I watched people come through every day, walk across my property. And they were trying to find a better life. But whether you agree with the president, you don't agree with the president, there is this element of do you invite somebody in your front door or you let them come in through the window?
Oh my God! Stacey talking about immigration?
Stop, Stacy.
Is that what he's talking about? Stop. No, you didn't. Okay.
I believe in law. I believe in law. I don't believe in this propaganda. And it's the first time I've seen any of this. I'm not privy to this tweeting. I don't tweet. I don't have a tweet account. I don't know anything about tweeting. But I don't like the idea that people, I agree with Freeholder Fantasia when she says that you can relate to policy, you can relate to ideas, and not throwing rhetoric around. The gentleman from Bosnia, I didn't catch your name.
Amir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, because my best friend in the world is an immigrant. My family came from different countries. It's not easy to get catch on here. It isn't. I work in Hudson County. A big part of Hudson County is an immigrant community. But everybody down there that I come in touch with have been working towards doing things the right way, trying to become legal, or have become legal. It's not an easy thing to do. It's more difficult today. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. I'm not trying to ramble. Because I care very deeply about this issue.
Excuse me.
No, I'm sorry, I can't. The first gentleman who came in here made some vile attacks at us using words like fascists and such. There was no reason for that. He had no right to do that. There's nobody up at this dais here. In fact, the people that I've served with over the last 7 years, nobody falls into that category. Everybody is thoughtful, disagree, agree, whatever it may be. But nobody up here falls into that category. And I resented the ability for him to do that, but he had his first right amendments also, his First Amendment rights also. All I'm asking is exactly the same thing that Freeholder Fantasia said. Be mindful of the fact that we have disagreements. We also have laws. Our job here is to enforce the law and ensure that the safety and the welfare of this county is paramount. And that is what we try to do. Sometimes we do it, sometimes we get close, sometimes we're not always successful. But it's what we try to do. I appreciate everybody who came in here. I appreciate the passion. I love passion. But there's a point in time when passion becomes rhetoric. Let's try and pull it back a little bit. Let's try and put it into it. We heard what you had to say. We heard your opinions. I also agree with Freeholder Fantasia. The college is conducting their own investigation. And I think the college is the entity. And let the college give us their recommendation of what they see. That's all I have to say.
Just saw all of this today, got the information today, and I spoke to the board president. They will do their evaluation. They will do their evaluation and look at it. And I will wait for that. As far as the immigration question, my name's Yardley. English, right? Limey? I can't say Limey, I'm sorry. My mother, Vincenza Salamita. My whole life was spent with the Italian side of the family, all immigrants. Grandparents came over. My second son, I have 2 sons. His wife from Ecuador. I have 2 grandchildren. So all of us up here, well, not all of us up here, I'm speaking for everyone up here. All of us here in the county would say, or many of us, we have a sensitivity to immigrants. Somewhere we've all come from somewhere. The question that this board is asking is, do we cooperate with the federal government or not? It's an issue of law. It's not an issue of race, it's an issue of law. And that's what you have to remember, and that's what we're talking about. I want to thank all of you that came up and spoke. Freeholders Board appreciates that, and we'll take all of your thoughts and all of your words very serious. Thank you. We're going to move on.
May I just, and it slipped my mind because we were talking about the issue at the college, but as far as the sanctuary goes, the sanctuary issues, to be clear, from the perspective of this board, and I shared this at a prior meeting, that focus on the Immigrant Trust Directive. Our belief is that the directive contains additional language that has little or nothing to do with building trust between undocumented immigrants and law enforcement agencies. There are many laws that are in place that are meant to engender trust. You have Safe Haven, you have Safe Harbor, you have Good Samaritan laws. Things where when individuals step up and they do the right thing, it's for the safety and welfare of the community. I believe that this directive far oversteps. It's masquerading as some of those others that I had just shared. 3 issues in the Immigrant Trust Directive. 1, that we cannot provide ICE with access to state or local law enforcement resources. No phone, no tissue, no desk, no fax machine, no nothing. So if they come up, they ask to use any county equipment, the answer is no. If I from the street can't walk up and ask for it, the answer is no. What other situation does is law enforcement prohibited from cooperating in that most basic means? Prohibits notification to ICE of an individual's upcoming release. And then if detainees are charged with violent or serious offenses, they may continue to be held only until 11:59 p.m. that day, again, in the absence of a warrant. So a standard ICE detainer is no longer valid. My question is, when do we start to remember the danger of porous borders? When do we start to remember in our recent history, and I think everybody in this room, as I look around, was alive, my guess is, when it happened, when proper credentials and documentation were as important to someone wishing to do us harm as a weapon. Don't forget that. Don't forget that your law enforcement families have families to go home to as well. There's a common ground on the immigration issue. It just has not been found yet, and I don't have the answer. But the Immigrant Trust Directive is reckless, and it's dangerous, and it is not in the best interest, in my opinion, of the residents of this county or the state. And that's all I wanted to say on that.
Okay, shall we move on? Freeholder comments.
All right, just a few updates that I have. Let's start with the Sussex County Arts and Heritage Council. The Senior Citizens of Sussex County exhibit is going to be open. All artists 60 years and older who are residents of Sussex County may submit to be put on display at the exhibition at the gallery in Newton from August 4th to September 1st. Please visit the website, and we hope to get a fair amount of entries so senior citizens' art can be displayed. We have an update from the library. The Sussex County Library System Summer Reading Program, A Universe of Stories, is coming to a close, with special programs and prizes to be awarded at every location. Saturday, August 3rd, is the last day to submit raffle tickets for the 100+ prizes being awarded to all the children who have participated. Also, teens and adults participated in their age categories as well. This Friday, a family-friendly magician, Mr. D, will wow audiences with a combination of comedy and sleight of hand.
traveling first to the Louise Childs branch in Stanhope, then to the main library in Frankfurt, and then the Sussex Wantage branch, so throughout that day. So if you're interested, you might want to check that out. Now on to something a little more serious that came to my attention this week regarding Pace Glass in Andover. There's been concerns that have come out of Hudson County, and I urge the board to carefully read your emails and your reports. It took me a full day to get through everything that was shared with us, so if you have not had an opportunity, I do know that I believe our health department went out today for a site visit. If you're not aware, New Jersey-based Pace Glass and the Reliable Group, along with their executive leadership, have been served with dozens of charges and code violations in Jersey City. The charges relate to piles of material reportedly as high as 40 feet in some cases that have been growing for months at a site leased. So I started asking some of our professionals as to where we are at with the building of construction at Pace. And again, it appears that over the past, let's say, 18 months, Pace has been in violation in storing some, solid waste product consists of glass, metals, aluminum, plastics. Then the grade, what else here? This was a lot. There was an odor. They were cited for an odor, not having proper permits before starting construction. Long story short, although we welcome new businesses, excuse me if I'm cautiously optimistic for saying that nothing's more appealing to someone who's running out of space in other counties than 86 acres here in beautiful, pristine Andover, New Jersey that runs right next to an aquifer. So I just urge from the county level for us to just keep an eye and be diligent in making sure that there's nothing hazardous that's going on. And that's all I'll say about that for now, but it's on our radar.
Let me do my report. Lake Apacon algae bloom. I don't know, past Monday, NJDEP held another public forum. We had the health department staff there, Carol Norvat in the audience was there, and attended that, and the algae bloom continues, as it does throughout many other areas in New Jersey and New York State. So it's one of those events that we seem to be having regionally. There's a memorial cemetery 6th annual SCUMA American flag retirement ceremony on Wednesday, July 31st at 10 a.m. The ceremony will be held at the New Jersey Veterans Memorial Cemetery located at 75 North Church Street, Sparta. The event's hosted by SCUMA, that's our solid waste, Sussex County MUA, Municipal Utilities Authority, and Abbey Glen Pet Memorial Park. The goal of the event is to renew awareness and the need to provide environmentally sound alternatives toward climate disposition of our national symbol. Anyone that's had anybody that's a veteran, their family, served, the flag is a very important issue and it should be dealt with when you want to get rid of them in the proper way. The senior fair, August 8th, between 9 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. under the Performing Arts tent. Program includes refreshments, exhibits, door prizes, award ceremonies at 10 a.m. And will be an event, Sussex County Senior of the Year, and Skyland's Ride Safe Drivers Award will be announced. And I have a list. Is this list available? Are these things available on our website?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a multitude of things here from health services. There must be 20 or 30 things that the department does. And I really would ask people to go onto our website and take a look at some of the things that are being done in your county. Because people are always saying, you know, what are you doing or why do we do this? But there were 50 domestic or wild bite exposures from June 1st, 2019 to June 30th. That's June 1st, 2018 to June 30th. 50 animal bites. Mosquito control. They have a whole program on integrated management. Everyone should remember anything wet, buckets, small cups that are left outside, and cause mosquito problems. There's a health check program August 13th from 2 to 4 p.m. At the adult clinic. And it's at the Office of Public Health Nursing at Wheatsworth Road in Hardiston. And Senior Services Program, events, caregiver support group, United Way, Tuesday, August 6th. So those are just some of the things, but if you go onto our website, we ask people to go to websites, go to the county website, and just look through there for things that are happening and services that are being provided. George? Hey.
It's nice seeing this many people. I wish we could get this many people into Newton. It doesn't usually show up in Newton. I have been honored to be a freeholder for 6.5 years, and it's been a great time. And I'm finishing my term at the end of the year. And what I've learned more than anything else is the strength of our county is really the people that work for us, that work for that county. We have a number of employees here right now that. That's okay, not that it was behind your back. As long as you were talking behind my back.
That was.
I just want to say a few things, because there have been people that have come up here and have talked about union negotiations. And union negotiations are difficult because we live in a 2% world. There's only so much money that we can, by law, provide in our labor negotiations. But I would like to talk about the job that these wonderful people do. From the Health and Human Services Department, they take care of the least fortunate in our Human Services Department. They do go in. There was one young lady who came in and talked about, I guess it was you, they told us about those that go into the most difficult houses, social workers. It's a difficult job. And if they don't do it, nobody does it. We've had, over the last several years, we've had an aging population. And the aging population has had people who have been cut off from their families. And if it wasn't for our social workers that go out, and Carol Novert's department, and so many people within your department, I don't know how we would keep people safe. Road department, you're right. If it's 10 below zero, or if it's like it was last week, you're out there. And it is appreciated. It cannot always be shown in the way that you would like it to be shown, but it is appreciated. A couple of years ago, I did something foolish. I took an iPad, put it on top of my car, and drove off. Landed in the bushes. Your guys found it. Your guys tracked me down. Your guys got it back to me. That was a wonderful thing. Our roads department. We have 300 miles of road. We have hundreds of bridges. They're maintained no matter what. No matter what, they're maintained. We have a list at any given time that goes on a computer run out that goes from the ceiling to the floor of which roads need to be worked on next. It's important. We conduct safety inspections. When I was director, I used to try and bring up every meeting somebody from some department to talk about what you do. Director Darley was talking about Seniors Day. Seniors Day is an opportunity for you to see the best of what we are. I want to thank our employees. I want to thank those people that, even though we have differences on how we are going to get to our contract, still conduct your job every single day as a professional and as people with hearts. I want to thank you very much. I also want to thank Mr. Poff, who is going to take some of the load off of me. I do a lot of traveling, and I have not been able to attend meetings for the Lake Musconetcong Regional Planning Board, and he's taking that. I know he will enjoy it, and I know that it'll give him something to do on Wednesdays that I'm either in Virginia or in Canada or someplace. That's all I got tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving forward, I'm going to open up to the public for public comment on items that are on the agenda. So if you have a question about an item on the agenda, come up, state your name, you can give us your statement. We have a motion to open it for public comment.
Motion open.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, it's open to the public. Anybody from the public wish to address an item on the agenda? Seeing none, no, go ahead.
Christina Marks Franklin. I have a couple of comments and questions regarding agenda item F under 14. It's the authorization to adopt amendments to the longevity policy set forth in the Sussex County Employee Handbook. I had an opportunity to review the online documents. I first questioned one of the paragraphs, and I apologize because I didn't bring it with me.
Could that, see if there's a mistake in that, that's what
We're tabling
Oh,
that
you're
this
tabling
evening?
that.
Okay, all right then.
Okay, just,
Well, hi.
anyone else wish to address the board?
May I just ask a question before I do sign in, because I don't know if I'm allowed to speak. I'm embarrassed to say I don't know what the protocol is, but you just said that no public comment can be made on anything that is not listed on your
Correct.
agenda. Okay, so if it's something that is not there, I absolutely cannot ask a
That's
question
correct.
about it. Okay, just wanted to.
That was before.
Okay,
Okay.
well, yeah, that kind of got caught up in a lot of different things there, and I didn't know if I could save it to the end at this public portion, so that's my mistake. Next time I know.
Okay, so for the public session for point of order, for what you're asking, I think if it's something that they brought up, if something was brought
Now,
up,
ma'am, if
it's
it's
only on the agenda as an ordinance.
That is.
We already had an
That
open
was an
session.
agenda
You had an open
item.
session.
And there was nothing, because I got in, I didn't get to skim through the entire agenda, there was nothing on here that you were voting on that was regarding sanctuary tonight. And you did not vote to go into closed session and ask for a sanction regarding the people who had the racist things on their social media. Did you ask for them to, did you ask your friends up there to do that? 'Cause that would be on the agenda.
Ma'am, is it on here? Do you have a question on here?
And it wasn't added to that.
Is it on here?
You see what our closed session items, they were listed there. Our closed session items.
Just the
are
closed,
listed.
and then there's another one for new business?
No.
No, whatever what you see is
Your question was,
here.
what did they discuss in closed session? You will see in the resolution on page 1, the items they discussed.
Right. But
That's
my-
all they discussed.
But my question is, when you were discussing from the public session, did anybody call for a sanction on anybody's social
Ma'am,
media?
ma'am,
Okay.
that was the previous
That's not
meeting.
an agenda.
That was public session, you should have brought that up. This is for these items.
Okay, but then other freeholders meetings then have a second public session at the very end for new business on things that
That's
aren't, is
this.
that coming?
No, we switched it. That we made that so all the people here could make public comment.
So that's a difference
We
from.
announced it, we just switched it so
So you announced it at
everyone
this
here.
meeting, not 30 days
We announced it
before.
at this meeting, we said we would switch it, all of these people got the opportunity to comment.
Mr. Yardley,
Yes.
Honorable Yardley, I guess you're the president or the, right, of the Republican freeholder, director? Chair. Did you do notice on the agenda that you were switching it? Because
Ma'am, the room holds 25 people, and we are way beyond capacity with many people who wish to speak. So to accommodate and allow everybody to speak and not have to sit through minutia of this, let's move this tree, let's move that telephone pole. We let everybody speak on their salient issue, and whoever wishes to leave could go, and everybody else can stay for the telephone pole
Thank you, Madam
conversations.
for the
They amended
invitation. The reason I'm asking for point of order and clarification is Oprah laws say that you must have the agenda.
No, Oprah law does not say that,
It
ma'am.
doesn't
What
say you have
they
to list
did
the
is
Oprah
they
law?
made a motion to amend the agenda, which they did in the beginning of this meeting. Yes,
did.
You were
And
not
it did
here
not
for
need to
that.
be advertised.
That
so
that
many hours
entire
before.
agenda was advertised.
Ma'am,
You
ma'am,
switched the order, that's all I'm just putting on point for
we did
clarification.
everything legal. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else? Steve?
I'd just like to say, I don't mind, and I was here,
You
but I
need
couldn't
to-
get inside,
You
so.
need to state your name and sign in, please, if you're making a comment.
No, that's all right. I'll come back next meeting.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Motion to close public session.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approval of the consent agenda.
The Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions and determined that adoption of the said resolutions is in and will further the public interest. If any freeholder would like to remove an item to be considered separately, please do so now.
Being none, motion to approve consent agenda, A to I.
I'll motion that.
Second. Roll call.
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Yardley?
Yes. Approval of the July 10th regular and closed session minutes. We'll have to defer August meeting because I'm the only freeholder present. Give you a vote. Okay, we'll defer that.
Yeah, how can we have it?
Appointments and or resignations. Appointment, okay, A, do I have a motion to approve resolutions?
I motion it.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Resolutions, announcement that resolutions contain the typo payment is made the 22nd, not the 25th day of the month.
Freeholder Director, yeah, I would just note, as the board considers section 14 entitled resolutions, it should be noted for the record that resolutions A and B have been moved to the beginning of the meeting per the amendment of the agenda by the board. And I'm asking that resolution F be considered separately and be voted down, as that resolution needs to be revised pursuant to certain eligibility regulations. So a motion would be in order.
Okay, so you wanted to vote down, not to...
It's better just to...
separate?
To
consider it
F
separately?
be considered
So,
separately.
so
voted
motion's
down.
going to be for C, D,
C, and E.
C, D, and E. Can I make a motion for C, D, and E?
Okay, take that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call, right?
No, it's
Oh, voice vote, sorry. All right, F, a motion on F.
Make a motion F separately.
Second?
Okay, voice vote.
No.
All in favor? No opposed?
Nay.
Nay, aye, whatever it's called. Award of contracts, orders, change orders and bids.
The Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Sussex has reviewed the award of contract change order bids consisting of various proposed resolutions and determined that adoption of the said resolution is in and will further the public interest. If any freeholder would like to remove an item to be considered separately, please do so now.
Okay. Motion to adopt contracts and extensions, A and C. Motion.
Is it just A and C?
A through
A
C.
through C,
A through
sorry.
C. Motion.
Second?
Roll call.
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Yardley?
Yes. Financial resolution for payment of bill list, July 24, 2019. Motion.
I'll make a motion on the bills.
Second?
Roll call.
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Yardley?
Personnel, authorizing the personnel agenda, July 24, 2019. Do I have a motion to accept?
I'll motion it.
Second?
Roll call.
Freeholder Fantasia?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Director Yardley?
Yes. Okay. Administrative report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Director. We were just advised this afternoon that the New Jersey Association of Counties was representing all the counties in New Jersey before the New Jersey Council on Local Mandates. You may recall, and we previously had County Clerk Jeff Parrott here in regards to the what the Association of Counties and this county believed is the unfunded mandate of the 2018 vote by law that was passed by the state legislature. The state had filed for summary judgment to dismiss the Association of Counties complaint. Today was the hearing, and we now await a decision by the Council on Local Mandates as to whether they intend to conduct an initial hearing on the matter that this board has put forward as an unfunded mandate on the issue of vote by law, or whether or not the complaint will be dismissed in its entirety. I'll continue to keep the board informed as additional information becomes available. That concludes my report.
Council?
Nothing for tonight, thank you.
Unfinished? Nothing?
I have a question,
Oh.
I am unfinished.
Go ahead, unfinished.
Question about the staff survey. Have we moved forward with that at all for the employee survey? We talked about perhaps doing something.
I've been working on that, and we'll have more of a report once we.
I have a question too. I saw a letter going by regarding Sanderston and the 911 center.
I'd be happy to address that.
Can we address that sometime during the week?
That's fine.
Are you?
Yeah, I read it, I saw it. I'd like to just talk, just get more information about it.
Just more information
Yeah,
about
I
it.
don't have it.
Because I'd like to reach out to them because they directly put me on the letter too, so I would like to.
I think you're their liaison,
Yes,
right?
I'd like
See
to,
that?
I'd like to get some information to follow up on. Thank you.
All right, so new business, none. Public session, when we have that. Okay, motion. Okay. Reminders, visit the county website, motion to adjourn.
Well, before we motion to adjourn, I just want to thank Ogdensburg for their hospitality here.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for your hospitality.
Oh, you're very welcome.
We appreciate it. It was we don't usually get this many people here, so we should come here more often.
We don't either, so it's great to see you. Nice to
Thank
see
you
the
so
room
much.
full. Oh, you're very welcome anytime.
thank you. We love your chairs too, so your people need to talk to our people.
Yeah, these chairs are
These
definitely better.
comfortable chairs.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
It had nothing to do with any of that.
Yes.
My mistake.